Hi, this is Hershel Gordon Lewis, and you are listening to WithoutYourHead.com.
This is Randall Malone, darling, and you are listening to WithoutYourHead.com. We'll never find you, we'll never mind you, we'll drag you home, and we'll organ grind you. Oh, you'll be hurting behind the curtain. Oh, let me tell you that our victory is certain. We sing the undead cheer, hurrah, rip your throat ear to ear, hurrah.
All right, welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I am Nasty Neil, along with my cohort in crime.
That would make me Terrible Troy.
Excellent. And joining us right off the bat here, we have Joel M. Reed, director of many cult classics. I know a lot of people want to hear some stories about Bloodsucking Freaks.
Yes, I made Bloodsucking Freaks during my sadistic period. Mm-hmm. My family was getting very concerned about me kidnapping little kids and killing them in the back room where I stayed. So they said, why don't you stop doing that and make some money out of it making movies? I was going to
say, is that a true story? I don't know. Yeah.
Actually, Bloodsucking Freak came about because I was making a picture called Teen Demon about a teenage demon and trying to raise money for it. And somewhere along the line, this agent, Dorothy Palmer, gave me tickets to an off-Broadway S&M ballet produced by this guy named Giles Fontaine. I went down there and he danced with his slave girls, totally naked. It was formal ballet. When I got up to a meeting of investors, I told them about it, and they all wanted to see it, so we bought 55 tickets to the theater, which was the size of the theater. And that after the performance, all the investors told me if I make a movie about an off-Broadway S&M theater, they would give me the money. Mm-hmm. So I wrote the script. Some of the investors were very sick because they sent me their Dutch comic books and secret S&M books and put down their horrible desires on a piece of paper. So I wrote the script, and of course, not one of them put the money in. But at the last minute, I got a call from a lawyer named Joel Weinberg, and he said, could you make a movie right away for $125,000? And I said, I was just going to do this one. He said, pick up the check, and that's how the movie came about.
Yeah. He said they had a lot of, weird ideas on the piece of paper. Now, all the different elements of the movie, was that all stuff from the paper? Was any of the different scenes or anything stuff out of your head, something you always wanted to put in the movie? Or
well, some of them were mine. Mm-hmm. The girl, I think, in the guillotine with the thing, and it comes from a Dutch comic book. Actually, a guy sent over about 200 Dutch what they call Nazi torture books. Mm-hmm. Which seemed to be popular in Holland. I think I picked that up from that. Some of the other things I created myself. Sometimes I have fantasies about torturing people or subjecting them to extreme inconveniences. Mostly my competitors, nothing to do with women, But during the making of the picture, it attracted a lot of masochists. Were coming up, and said, while I'm here, why don't you beat me or something, It turned out to be terribly inconvenient. If you wanted to get laid, you had to go through this whole scenario.
Yeah.
I'm still being approached by a lot of masochists who actually think I do this stuff and send me scripts about gouging out eyes and stuffing you humongous dildos up tight anuses and stuff like that.
Is that hard to deal with when you have people like that who think that this movie is somehow something that you were really into?
Well, sometimes it deals with the people. A lot of them are very serious. It's on, foaming at the mouth. I just ran into two people. That's what they're into. They get into trouble and get arrested for putting things on the web and stuff. Eli Roth was a fan of mine. He used to hang out here, and look what he went out to make.
Yeah. I was going to say, I heard you actually talk about that on one of the commentary tracks. I think it was on Bloodbath, and it was, you said about Tarantino was a fan, and then you said Eli Roth actually used to hang out, like you just said.
Yeah, he was always up here, and he followed me around with a camera taking pictures of me. And I was on the subway once going to the Mets game, and some guy said, "There's a guy sneaking pictures of you with a camera under his coat," and it was Eli. Of course, he wasn't the baseball bat type. I remember him being very skinny.
Yeah.
You know, dusted him off with one hand, you know, after saying Inglorious Bastards, you know, so among others. I had Andy Kaufman used to be a fan of mine. When the picture played in New York, he came every weekend to both performances.
Yeah.
And who else came? Rip Torn and Michael Pollard, remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to come. He came to a number of performances. I get fan mail from a lot of very strange people. You know, right now the picture is being hailed as a classic, although it's quite mild compared to some of the other movies I watch. You know, I mean, it's like almost a PG-rated movie.
What do you think it is about the movie that is like people still watch? You know, decades later.
I think now it's coming together with the humor. When it first came out, it was very gross. And a lot of people would walk out of the theater, you know, and a lot of people are finding it very acceptable and funny. And they're finally getting my gags, you know, with the detective says, "What's the matter? You never got a little head before?" Except so forth and so on.
Yeah, I mean, that to me, that's what's really noticeable about it. I'm kind of surprised that you would have. I could see there'd be some fans that really take it really serious, but I would think the majority of fans would see it as like a crazy movie, but a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think most of the normal fans, but I have a lot of sick fans. You know, I have to be careful who I talk to for any length of time. You know, actually, most of my fans are 11 and 12-year-old goth kids.
Really?
I have to keep them out of here. And, you know, I do have hundreds of them. You know, I keep running, they call up, and I got a call from way out on Long Island last year, and I'm very careful. And this girl sounded very mature, and I said I'd take a chance. So I arranged to meet her at the Cafe Pick Me Up down in the East Village, you know. And on Saturday I walked in and I saw her and I said, "I hope your mother is here." She was 11.
Oh my God!
Of course, her mother was there. You know,
Yeah.
You know, and I've had girls, 11-year-old or 12-year-old girls with half their head shaved off, you know, with piercings and tattoos on their face, and they were perfectly happy. I guess it's to watch that picture, you know, is a revolt against something. Although I did a show out in L.A. and this couple pulled up on, you know, really motorcycle-looking people with tattoos, and a big, broad, you know, muscular father with a beard, you know, looked very menacing. And they had a baby with him, a few years old, and they asked me to pose for a picture and sign an autograph. And I said, okay. They said, no, the kid likes your stuff. I said, what do you mean the kid likes? He says he wants to watch your movie every night. And there was a kid about 3 or 4 years old, you know? And I signed a poster for him. And I said, well, what do you think about it? They said, well, we're not fighting it at the moment. It's very weird.
Joe, what goes through your mind when you find, like, real young people watching the movie? I mean, does it bother you, or do you not really care, or what?
Oh, well, it depends what's real young people. I had, a year or two ago, I had the whole, about 12 kids from a Jewish religious school in New Jersey come, you know? With their parents and let them out for a midnight show, but they came with chaperones. I think their parents were quite upset or bemused.
Right.
I just met, it had to be 4 years ago because they graduated. I just met one of them for coffee today. So I think it's cute, you know, but I'm quite surprised, you know, that even Rip Torn liked the picture. You know, I was signing order. They're asking this guy came, elderly guy, and says, "Can I have two?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Make them out to Rip Torn." And I said, "Oh my God," you know.
Yeah.
So I may have many secret followers. I mean, Oliver Stone was on the set when we shot some of it, and he was in the, you know, so. At the time, it was weird, you know, but I could not. I get scripts in, you won't believe what goes on in it. You know. Somebody sent me a script which starts off, the guy answers the bell, his friend comes over, he says, "I'm busy torturing this virgin," you know, and there's 15 minutes of torture. He says, "You got to help me torture this other girl." That's the whole script. Then they go over the third guy who's torturing this guy. And it doesn't have story development.
Right.
Well, plot is hard to say.
When you're,
Go ahead.
I would just say when you read something like that, or I don't know, just what goes through your mind? Are you like, are you kind of nervous, or?
I'm not nervous. I'm just, you know, it just draws me a profile of the guy that wrote it. People are into, "You fuck, let me torture you some more. When I did it to you, how does it feel, the burning? Now your eyes coming out." That's the whole script, you know, and I think just be aware of the people that write it, because I don't think they indulge in this. You know, the Marquis de Sade never did anything. He wrote all these great sadistic stories, and he actually never partook in any. Well, he tried it once or twice, and he got arrested, or his mother-in-law locked him in the bedroom. You know, so he had a very limited actual experience.
Yeah. So you think that could be as a good release for some people who might have those thoughts? You know, it'd be better to write about it than go out there and practice it.
I think it's a good relief, you know, because I visited the S&M scene in a number of countries, a lot in New York, and believe me, it's very dull, you know. Nobody uses any of their imagination. You get up and see some 40-year-old woman whipping this fat Jewish guy whose head shoved into what do you call a bedpan, you know, and it doesn't have any romance, you know. You won't want to do that in a movie. It looks stupid.
Yeah.
I heard that John Huston, the director, was a master of that. He had a castle in Ireland where he staged these huge S&M orgies in which he invited all these celebrities. It was a privilege to go there, and they were actually staged with music and lighting, you know. And
Wow.
they had an element of theater to them. The ones I've gone to are pretty horrible.
Yeah.
There's a club in New York named Paddles. They keep on inviting me down, but I haven't made it down to the private night, you know. I will do that, you know, but anything that shocks, you know. I have another script which I'm probably going to make, which deals with, I don't know if you're aware of the French European style porn, where it's a girls' school and all the girls have to remain virgins. That's one thing, you know. And they're subject to all this training to be good little girls. They get enemas and light whippings and stuff. And I have a script that's actually Bloodsucking Freaks 2, where we have this girl is sent to the school because she's so bad. Her father wants to run for president, but she has a habit of kicking everybody in the balls and saying, "Screw up, motherfucker." And she goes to the school, and they say, "This is the training you get." She said, "Oh shit, this is the best school my father ever got. Where did the motherfucker get this idea?" And she's such a vicious little girl and so happy at the school, they try to expel her, you know. So it gives you a lot of opportunities for spankings and enemas and whatever they do at those schools, you know.
Yeah. Is this something you've researched a lot, these movies?
Oh, I think I've read enough to know all forms of you know, of sexual deviation. I've known a lot of people who I knew a lot of masochists, you know. I mean, if you want into detail, I was engaged to a girl once whose father used to pay hookers to relieve themselves in his mouth, you know, and stuff like that. I mean, that's for real. I knew guys that used to pay for beatings, you know. I knew some very famous guys that used to. used to like to be submissive, so I didn't have to do much research around New York.
Yeah.
I had girls come up over the years that they'd bring their whips and their leather with them, and want to get laid. That's a big problem. Who wants to fuck around with the whole scenario? I just remembered a story. I'll tell you about it. It's sort of not so much S&M, but I was just relating to somebody asking about my past. In the early days of the Beatles, I remember I met this very beautiful girl at a casting call. She invited me up to her apartment, which is on West End Avenue. And when I got up there, she was sort of nude, and I was just opening discussions with her, and her husband comes out of the bedroom with whatever room he was. He said, "Oh, I'm glad you want to fuck my wife." And I said, and she's so lovely. He says, "Come into my theater." And he had a theater built into his apartment, about 20 seats. And he sat down. He says, "I'm staging a show, and she's going to be beaten and tortured by a Chinese guy, a black guy, and a Persian guy. And they're going to use her in every way possible." And I sort of said, "What are we going to do?" He said, "We're going to sit here and watch a great show." You believe that? And at that point, the show started. He unzipped himself, took a handful of Kleenex from a box, handed them to me, and he said, "Pump away. This is what I love. It's better than that sex." It's a true story. And I made an excuse to go to the bathroom. But he stayed orgies and watched it with his wife, mainly with a compatriot, and she would pick up guys and bring them back to watch, so.
Now, if you said you're writing the script and for Bloodsucking Freaks 2 and these different ideas, now that it's so things that you do see so much in films now, would it be harder to be shocking in a movie today, or do you think you can still do it?
Oh, I have a story, yes. I think these are more shocking than Bloodsucking Freaks 2, although they go off in a different direction. I actually have a film called Hardcore. It's about a low-budget film goes on location down south to shoot a story about Civil War ghouls or zombies, and they run into the real zombies. And it's got a little chainsaw massacre. The zombies have a barbecue place. They eat human flesh, and the crew ends up what happens is the crew ends up exchanging places for the zombies who finish the movie and go on to become big shots in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And a different type of gore. And I have a first piece which is on, Kindle now, which you can get for about 60 cents. It's called Zombie Wall, which is a common name. It's about the first thing I've written about with zombies, or I've seen about zombies having sex with living people, And the living people are not too happy about it. And the zombies use rebar to stiffen their joints. I think that's pretty far out, isn't it?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And zombies are hip again. So.
But I guess there's been some zombie human interaction, but not as gross as mine.
Yeah. Why haven't you made a movie for a while?
Why haven't I made a movie in a long time?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I tried to get some deals going, and I was having too much fun. I made a lot of money in 2000 developing websites and stuff. And I'm the type of guy, I used to go to Europe for 2 years, and then I have to borrow money to get back to the States, So I never had that, self-preservation mode. Actually, the reason movies are coming about, again, a lot of people are calling me up and emailing me, want me to do a movie.
Why do you think it is all of a sudden? Do you think it's because of the internet? It's easier to, find you?
I think, I don't know whether there's a big interest in the movies. My old zombie movie, Gamma 693, or Night of the Zombies, has been released in Germany as Zombie War Games, and they gave me an advance, and they actually dubbed the movie into German and changed some of the plot a little bit, and I'm getting a lot of calls on that movie. So I'm sort of rediscovered, I'll be Nick Ray or name some old ancient director that everybody forgot about, like E.W. Griffith, I'll be, when I'm 90 years old, film writers will be coming over to interview me.
Yeah. Is that exciting for you, though, for people to want you to start doing stuff again and just read?
Oh, it's very exciting, yes. I'd like to do some things. I have several ideas, which I want to, I think not so much in the S&L, but they're certainly offbeat. Nobody's thought of these ideas before, and they're very weird, Mm-hmm. I want to do a movie about, you remember Spinal Tap?
Oh, yeah, of course.
I have a script about a non-existent film director in the 60s who everybody stole every one of his ideas, including Tarantino,
Yeah.
Dennis Hopper, and we go back. We have film students researching his career. We finally found the original footage, and we found out that he created, Easy Rider and, Pulp Fiction. Mm-hmm. He actually did those in public school. So, and it does have a lot of gross stuff in it, but it has an underlying sense of humor. He was the first guy to use baby oil in a porn film. First guy to go to quadruple insertions in a porn film, etc.
I really like that idea.
Yeah.
Now, would you want to do that kind of like a mockumentary, like a Spinal Tap, or so it kind of seemed like?
Yeah, it's a mockumentary, and it gives me a great latitude in doing some very gross things, that this guy did in the 60s,
Mm-hmm.
He actually used part of Kessler, what's that guy? Tesla's corpse, to do a porn film. So, I have some very outrageous stuff about a film festival where all these porn film guys get together, and their people are looking to kill critics and stuff. There's one girl in the movie takes a job at the theater, at the concession stand.
Uh-huh.
Because she went to bed with 197 producers and no one ever gave her a part. So she's putting cyanide in all the drinks whenever a producer comes out. But she's putting more like Viagra in the drinks. So we have, in the course of this film festival, a lot of people running around with huge erections. But still, it's humorous, what I mean?
Yeah. Since you brought up the critic, I just wanted to ask him, Bloodsucking Freaks, the critic character, he seems like a real dick, and he really gets it bad in the movie. Was that did you put that in there, thinking of any particular critic, or like?
Yeah, well, actually, Clive Barnes, because Clive was at the Battle of Crecy. Sir Richard Clive won the battle. If you have to be, and silo is another word for barn. I was really saying Clive Barnes, who was a critic on the Times at the time,
Yeah.
We're a student of English history, the Battle of Crecy was won by Clive, and so I had him in mind, not personally, just a general run-of-the-mill clinic,
Mm-hmm.
Dan Fossey went on to be president of 20th Century Fox, the cop, and for years he told anybody mentioned the film he would fire. Retired and has these painting. He has a website of it.
Yeah.
I've been in touch with his daughter who's trying to make movies.
Mm-hmm.
And Niles McMasters is out in the Midwest painting. And Bijou got shot between her eyes by her third or fourth husband, and he got off.
Yeah, it was. I saw an interview with you, and it was on YouTube, and you talked about a lot of the people from the movie. Some of them, like right after the movie, met like pretty bad deaths. And was that hard to deal with? Did you keep in touch with the people after the movie? Like, were your friends? Was it hard to deal with?
I kept in touch with a number of people. They had some sort of AFI thing or something out at the coast, and I walked into the party, and all these old women were running out and hugging me, and they were girls in a cage. Mm-hmm. I kept track of Bijou because I had mutual friends, and one day she came by, he was ringing the bell, and I didn't feel like letting her in. Then her agent called me and said she was hiding out from the FBI. And then I read she got arrested for stock fraud. And she was married to this guy, Bob Tamarkin. You can look him up on the web. Anyway, later on, she married another old guy, and they went deer hunting. And he told her to walk behind him, and he shot at a deer, but she walked in front of him, and he got off. And I know she was so stupid that the guy was probably totally innocent, you know. You know, and who else? Ron Dorfman disappeared. He did a lot of stuff. And my friend was applying for a job at this major corporation at the vice president's office in Boston. There was a lady, and this was years later, and he looked up at the wall, and there was a Bloodsucking Freaks poster. And said, "Oh, I know Joel Reed. Why do you have the poster here?" It was quite unusual because it's a major company. And she said I was in the movie. Mm-hmm. So she was proud of it. And vice president of a Fortune 500 company.
That's awesome.
So
my girlfriend works at State Street in Boston. It wasn't that, was it?
What's that?
That wasn't the company, was it?
I don't want to go.
Oh, okay.
Don't take the company. I don't give a shit. It was Reader's Digest up in there.
Oh, okay.
I guess they're up there. They have an educational services. Let them sue me. Anyway, that was all that happened. You know, I don't know if he saw the movie at the time, but he was quite shocked, you know. Mm-hmm. And it played up in Cambridge for a long time. The movie played as a midnight show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it played up in Cambridge for 56 weeks or something. It would have played in the 8th Street Theater, but Trauma called up the Women Against Pornography as a publicity stunt, and the theater was going to use that bad publicity to break the lease on the guy that was running it out. Mm-hmm. Steve, he died of AIDS. I remember he was a very nice guy.
That's too bad. I've seen some movies recently in Cambridge. They still show, we saw The Exorcist and some old Lovecraft films there. It's still a cool place to see movies.
Yeah. Well, Lovecraft, I love some of his stories, you mean?
Well, they showed some of the movies. Some of the movies aren't the best, but yeah, the story. What are your favorite Lovecraft stories?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. Did he do The Beckoning Demon? I've seen all his movies, but I can't remember. You know.
Yeah. The Reanimator. And,
some of my favorite movies: Count Yorga Vampire. I used to go to 2nd Street. They got me into the movies. I like the Eddie Romero, Roger Corman movies with Sid Haig. You know, they used to call me from the projection room because when they called me to bring a print over because they would show the movies with a lot of stuff taken out of it. You know, I liked all the movies of that genre. My friend used to shepherd around George C. Scott, who had a drinking problem, and he was doing Plaza Suite. To keep him from drinking, they would go to a movie till he fell asleep. So he'd be from 42nd Street. Sometimes we'd watch more movies in the night. So I think I've seen all the movies of the 60s, or, you know, between 60s and 70s, you know.
Yeah.
I later went over to the Philippines. I met Sid Haig one day. I hope he remembers him. He's here now at the Swiss Inn. And I met Eddie Romero and Jose Santiago. I was supposed to do something there, you know, but I never did. The liquor and the women are cheap in the Philippines.
We got some questions here in the chat room from the Mysterious Stranger, and she wants to know, let's see here, for the cast of Bloodsucking Freaks, did you seek these people out, or did they come to you? How did the casting go?
Oh, well, let me explain. Originally, I was a signatory to Screen Actors Guild. I paid Screen Actors, and I sent the script over to John Suki, the president of the company of Screen Actors Guild, to get it, you know. And they called me back and said, "Oh, we didn't read the script." And I said, "Why?" They said, "Well, we don't want to have anything to do with your movie, so go ahead and make it. We won't, you know, bother you as far as the union is concerned." And I said, "Well, I like to use union actors." So they finally said, "Well, it's a special student film. You can use any union actor." but we never read it full. So it became listed on SAG as a special student film. And I recall I was thinking I paid $150 a day to the actors, but we had thousands of them come up, We had the open call. We had 2 days or 3 days of open calls, And that's how we met Sardu. I think we met everybody through the open call.
I'd say Sardu's like so. I'm sorry to interrupt. Sardu's like so amazing in the movie. The guy who plays him. Was that really how you envisioned the character?
Well, it's better than I envisioned him because Seamus O'Brien was a great actor. He was doing the uncle in the Fantastics off Broadway, and he was in dozens of major movies like The Marathon Man, playing character roles, and he was a great, he's a great classical actor, and he was great for the part. And he would, not only that, he would rehearse with the other people when I was doing something else. So he was like an assistant director, We had, the first guy we had for the little person was Hervé, remember from Paradise Island or something?
Mm-hmm. Oh, Hervé Villages?
Hervé Villages, yes.
Yeah.
And he was hanging around her office, and in the beginning, well, we had no money, and this guy called me and I had money, so I called Hervé to come in, and he was in Paris. So he called me from Paris and said, well, if you want me to be in the movie, you have to send me $300 to come back. I said, why did you go to Paris? He says, it's easier for a little person to get laid in Paris than it is in New York. So we're planning to give him the $300, and Louis Diaz walked in. And I said, what's the difference between one demented dwarf and another? Because Hervé was unknown at the time, Viju walked in. We had casting, I think from, 12 to 6 or something at my friend's elegant penthouse on East 56th Street. And we saw a lot of people, and at that point, we decided to go down to dinner, and Bijou came. We told the doorman we'd be at the restaurant, I think Sans Coulette, which is right on the corner. And when we were sitting there, Alan was with his girlfriend. Bijou walks in, and she said, am I too late for the casting? I said, no, the casting was over like 2 hours ago. No, he said, Alan, now the medicine down. So I said something like, Bijou, the lead actress is going to be totally nude in this. Mm-hmm. And we had a drink, and then she went into the bathroom, came out stark naked. So the maitre d' moved us into a corner.
Yeah.
And I said, if you leave your clothes off at dinner, we'll give you the part. So that was weird. But most of the girls started to take their clothes. We had to stop them from taking their clothes off,
Why would you want to stop them?
What's that?
I said, why would you want to stop them?
Well, there's a lot of people lined up, and some of them weren't so good looking, and some were about 12 years old.
All right. Fair enough.
I don't want to, there's a bug here. I hope that's it. I hate bugs.
Yeah.
I don't want to mention a name, but when I did Career Bet, I had an office at 1776 Broadway, which happens to be right down the corner from where I live now. And this girl, about 13, kept on coming over, Mm-hmm. And she went to Yeshiva High School down the street, and I swear she took her uphill into the office, And my friend said, hire her for this movie. I said, no, we can't hire her for this movie. Maybe we'll get arrested, And so I didn't hire her. And about 6 months later, the guy said, your friend was in this movie totally nude. The movie was Pajama Party or something,
Yeah.
And she went on to become a major star. You can look it up. I think Pajama Party was the movie. And nothing happened, but, I've had a couple of famous girls come in without their underwear, but I'm used to that, A lot of
you
people
mentioned this. You have mentioned this quite a bit about girls seeking you out, fans of yours. And have you got a lot of women off your films?
Have I what?
Have you got a lot of women fans that come and have relationships with you because of your movies?
Well, women fans. No, I have. I'm trying to tell you, most of my women fans are like 11-year-olds.
Right. See what?
I haven't had. There are a couple of older ones, but I haven't. Oh yeah, there's a couple of freaks that everybody knows about that like to fuck offbeat directors. I don't particularly care for them because I don't like freaks in general. Like that. But
Yeah.
I have offers from. I did the.
Made me think I got to start making some weird movies.
Yeah, I did Wasteland a year or two ago in Cleveland. And I was selling, autographs and stuff. I made about $1,800 one night. Actually, the one was 3 days, and I put it in my pocket. Mm-hmm. I was at the Holiday Inn, so I went into the Copper Kettle. They had like an extension of the more exclusive dining room, and I sat down, and 3 girls came in. I saw one they were around, and I had talked to them and signed autographs. And one girl got on one side of me, and the other girl got on the other side of me and locked me in, and the third girl slid under the table. And I thought she was going to steal my money. So that was the case. I'm still friends with her on Facebook. She does that and everything. Sent my celebrity to come.
Yeah. Now we mentioned earlier that we have a similar appearance. I got to start telling them maybe I'm like you're my uncle or something. Yeah, I can get in on this. I'm just kidding.
The girl staying here who's in the next room says I'm her uncle. She's embarrassed to be here. I'd like to get rid of her. I can put her on. Nikki, are you here? I don't know if she's hiding.
Maybe she's under the table. Not stealing your money, though, but let's see here. This mysterious stranger, he wants to know, Viju Krem, you mentioned was, as the leading lady in the movie, was really dumb and really dummy and a bad actress. Was she more dumb or more of a bad actress?
I think she was extremely dumb, and she had no concept of acting. She went on to make a picture with Louis called Let My Puppets Come, hardcore porn. She made some hardcore porn later. She was dumb because she kept on hooking up with these dumb... The guys used her as a mule. She got arrested. She got 3 years in Mexico and 7 years here in prison, Mm-hmm. And then she got out and married this guy who shot her. So she was both. I understand. She wrote books, but I doubt if she could write. You can find her books on the web. And I understand that she's from Canada and that she married a Saudi Arabian prince who had a baby by him. And when he finally gave her $1 million to take the kid back to Saudi Arabia. But she definitely was sort of learning, disabled or something like that, Yeah. She'd come to wrong days and stuff like that, She always had a famous millionaire picking her up, And I would say, you're going to have to buy him dinner tonight. She meant, oh, you big millionaire. I met him on Madison Avenue. He put me in a major movie, In fact, the guy was Erwin Lewis. I said, Erwin Lewis is going to you have to buy him dinner. And I don't know how he got the subway fare down here, Then she married Bob Tamarkin, and they both went to jail. And he died of a heart attack. He was suing the state for being raped multiple times in prison, but I knew him very well, and God bless him. Mm-hmm. So she was a problem, but she was at hand, and I was supposed to use Giles Fontaine's slave, but I didn't like her. Yeah. Bijou had a better look. She was actually a ballet dancer, too,
Nope. One other character I really liked in the movie was the doctor character. What I liked about it...
Fleischer, the doctor?
Yeah.
He was in My Fair Lady, the revival on Broadway, and he was playing Freddie Isidel, if you remember the show. Mm-hmm. She, whatever her name is, meets this young guy, and he sings On the Street Where You Live, and that was him. And during the head shaving, he started to sing the Barber of Figaro, and we kept it in. But he was also at the Met Opera, so he had some class.
I like that. I like that. I was just saying, I like that Sardo. He actually seemed like that was the one guy that like even kind of freaked him out.
Who was that?
The doctor was the one guy that even kind of freaked out the main guy.
Which guy? I can't hear so.
Oh, I'm sorry. I like that the doctor character was the one guy that even kind of.
Oh, the doctor. Yes. Let me just. Roger, I'm on an interview now via Skype, so I'll call you back. Well, did you work today, right? You work today, right? I called you from Argo. I'll talk to you. The doctor. Yeah, he was very good. Ernie Peischer. I mean, I cast him and I used him in a movie, and I never heard from him again. You know, the girl that he drilled the hole in her head is teaching acting in New York now. Whatever her name is, I can't think of her. She's from Australia, and she has acting classes. And I think Ernie Peischer is still around. You know, that's a long time ago.
Yeah,
a lot of people are gone. I had several people. I can't think of all of their names, but what was the guy that was in Communion, the heavyset guy?
I'm not really positive.
He was in my movies. He finished my second movie and shot himself.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And another guy in my movie in Germany. I had several people shoot himself after being in my movies, you know.
I almost laughed, but I know that's terrible.
You know.
I hope it wasn't because they were in your movie.
What's that?
I hope it wasn't directly because they were in a movie, one of your movies.
I don't know. It just happened in the Night of the Zombies, which is now called Zombie War Games. We actually had two people shoot themselves that were involved with the movie. I don't know. So that was none of my. I don't think I was directly responsible for it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to think of his name. The big fat guy.
Yeah, I remember. I think you said it was on something I saw that he was caught in like a subway or something, and like it was on.
He went to the Trotters out in New Jersey and got shot in the turnstile, stuck in the turnstile.
Yeah.
And they burned him out of it and went home and shot himself.
Yeah.
And he was married to such a beautiful girl, you know, I never know. And he would never eat on the set. And then Ron Dorfman says he would sneak to his car and he had stuff with food, you know. So that's a problem he had. But he shot himself after. I remember reading the story. He got stuck in the turnstile at the Trotters, you know. And in Communion, he played the dirty old man next door. And he has a scene with Brooke Seals, and I think dirty old men should look like normal. They're more threatening if they look like normal, nice people. You know?
Yeah, that's creepier.
It's creepier, you know.
Because if you see a weird-looking dude, you're probably gonna stay away from him anyway. But if it's just a normal-looking guy and he happens to be creepy, that's scary because then you don't know who you can talk.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
That's why I try to look kind of normal.
Yeah, but I think you should cast against type. You know, I think that's when you have two menacing. Well, like in Psycho, you got what's his name again? Tony Perkins. You know. He sometimes plays a nice kid, but no, he doesn't actually. In all his movies, Pretty Poison, he plays a menace, which you say, well, I was supposed to do a project with him, which fell apart. You know,
wow, that would have been pretty sweet. I
met him a couple of times, and he pretends to be one of his characters. He's always in a dark room, and he jumps out to the room. The scare tries to scare you, so he had his own problems, you know.
Well, one of the real memorable scenes or visuals in Bloodsucking Freaks, I think, is the human table. Was that something you thought of, or did that come out of anything?
Which scene was that, please?
The human table, just, the woman being the table for us.
Oh, yeah, well, I thought of that. I have, I don't know whether I had another outside influence with the casting, with the plates and the candle in Uranus. No, I think I created that completely. I may have seen it someplace. In fact, I had that dish set here. People want to buy things, and I could have sold it for lots of money,
Do you have a lot of the old props?
I had them all here. I have the Sardou's key ring. Somebody offered me $400 for it. I had soldered, the key fob with the Mexican dollar on it,
Mm-hmm.
Yes, people have bought some of the props that were here, but I should have kept them. I didn't keep them. I had the backgammon set. I had a whole set of dishware, I had the original scripts. I didn't know it would become such a momentous thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can rent me for the night,
like a human statue, or you can talk.
Sylvester Stallone, who was in that picture, Night Tonight, Susan, or something, the porn film, and somebody said, they get $3,500 for showing that film, your porn film. He said, for $3,500, I come over and fuck in person.
Have you ever seen that movie?
No, I haven't seen that one. No.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of movies. I liked Misty Beethoven because it was funny,
Mm-hmm.
And I knew Shelley Abels, what was her name? Oh, Georgina Spelvin, very well. In fact, she helped me and was like my partner on my first two pictures, but that was way before she got into porn,
Yeah.
She was a producer at J.C. Penney, and she was Michael Kidd's dance captain. And then suddenly, I don't know why she ended up in porn, but she did. I don't know the excuse. So I've been on Ron Dorfman's set a lot. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
No, I'm not.
He did Groupies, and he did part of Woodstock, and he had all these awards, and he suddenly just did porn with Joe Sarno. And he used to have a studio in his house, so. He did a movie called I Don't Do Windows with Sharon Mitchell and Jerry Damiano, and he didn't like to talk to Jerry, so he hired me for $600 a week to be in between. So Jerry Damiano would tell him something, he had to tell it to me, Actually, on the movie, they had a guy that is, what Cecil B. DeMille looked like? This guy was about 4 foot tall, had a beret and boots on. He had a script under his arm and a megaphone, and he'd walk around the city picking up girls. And he had picked up this girl in the bus terminal and brought her to Jerry out in Queens, and she was absolutely lovely and very broke, and she was from Ohio, and she'd do anything because she didn't even eat. They had to feed her. And she was so gorgeous, and I had her in a scene with this Jewish kid from Brooklyn College, and they did all the wide shots, and then it was time to go in for the money shots where he's actually pumping away, and he couldn't get an erection, And it's about the only time I got an erection in a porn film, so I said to Damiano, who didn't like me, he was yelling, I'll pay $1,500 for a hard-on right now. So I said, I'll do it. And he said, let's see your dick, and I took it out, and he said, it won't match. He was full of shit. It was just like the guy, so he raped somebody else. But I would have fucked that girl. She was so cute. In fact, if you see that picture and look quickly, there's a pan over me, and it's about a porn film, the shooting of a porn film, and I carrying a light in one scene,
Mm-hmm.
But I found porn films very boring. If you have to sit there all day, the least thing you want to do is get laid after them,
Yeah.
In that one, this girl, take Sharon Mitchell, the first day she did ethnic types, so she fucked about 12 guys, black, Indian, American Indian, Persian, whatever.
Uh-huh.
And the second day she did lesbian day, and the third day she did mechanical day, whatever imaginable side of device,
Uh-huh.
And then she said, you want to have dinner together? So I like a little romance, because unless it's in a foreign setting. Well, this is very cheap. I'm supposed to go back to Singapore because my picture with Sandra, Dragon Lady, or GI Executioner was one of the few pictures made in Singapore. In January, they're having a film festival of pictures made in Singapore, and they may send me a ticket, you know. And when I was there used to be a place called Dexter Road where they had all these dollar whorehouses. And I was thinking to go back as an observer, really, and I just looked it up on the web. It's still there with the cheap whorehouses, you know. So in the old days, $5 went a long way in the 80s. You used to get laid in Japan and $50 for a pack of cigarettes. You can't do that anymore. You know.
Sad days.
Economically, I'm an economic fucker, you know.
I wanted to ask about Herschel Gordon Lewis because I do see a lot of similarities in Wizard of Gore and Bloodsucking Freaks, even though I think Bloodsucking Freaks actually a lot better, makes more sense.
Which one is that? You gotta speak slower.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I just what are your thoughts on Herschel Gordon Lewis?
I didn't know about Herschel Gordon Lewis or anything. Actually, what was his name? Bill Landis became a great friend of mine. He found the picture playing on 42nd Street, and he was knocking on my door, and he started mentioning all these, you know, Herschel Gordon Lewis and all these very weird pictures, and they dragged me to the theater or showed me VHS of him. And Herschel Gordon Lewis is, you know, very primitive. You know, he cuts up mannequins and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I think they're amusing, you know. I think there's a big market for people that like these primitive, sort of ill-made pictures. I don't think he makes any great departures, you know, but he's a leader in this sort of S&M and weird low-budget pictures, you know. Mm-hmm. I'm afraid that there are people that just like to watch bad pictures, you know.
Uh-huh.
I mean, people have said about some of my pictures it's not bad enough to be a favorite of mine, you know. So.
I guess that's a compliment in its own way.
Yeah, I mean, some people now, like Dragon Lady is having, or Witsand, or FIX is having scholars in Australia write about it. I really think it's a mess, but now they're finding deep, meaningful insight in the picture. And I made that picture Career Bed for $10,000. My first one by accident I made. I was supposed to do it with Joe Sarno, and he disappeared when we started shooting, so I had to shoot it myself. And now we got, you know, film students writing about it. Mm-hmm. Actually, it looks better now than when I made it. You know, it has the story holds together a show business mother. You know, it's been done other times. I met many mothers like that, and actually, it was one of the major companies wanted to reshoot it as a big picture. They never came through, though, you know, in color and do a show business mother story. You know, there has been some aggressive mothers in my time. I have years ago, I knew this big shot in the movie business and stuff, and I was in his office, and he said, I have this famous girl coming up with her mother, since I promised to go to dinner with you later. Who do you want to fuck, the mother or the girl, who was quite famous and cute? I said, of course, the girl. He said, well, you take the girl in the other office, and I'll take the mother. And so when we finished, he said, how was the girl? I said, pretty dull. He said, yeah, I knew you would pick her. The mother is terrific. You have to try her.
All right, you all go to withoutyourhead.com. I'll come over there and put my boot up in your ass.
That's me sitting in those are some movie memorable posters in the background. And that's where I sleep. I'm in the bedroom. And I'm here on 58th Street, which is right in the middle of Manhattan between 6th and 7th Avenue. You can come over and visit, you know.
I was just in Manhattan a couple weeks ago. If I would have known that, we would have stopped by.
Well, you can. I'm very amiable and a host, you know.
Yeah.
It's now 10 o'clock anyway. The young lady here, I guess, left, so I don't see her. So I was going to put her on, but I really would like her to leave, but I can't have permanent guests, you know.
That happened.
And she makes movies. She's going to play the guitar for you. But I have songs like Necrophilia and stuff like that. You can have
have you ever seen speaking of necrophilia, have you ever seen the movie Necromantic?
Necromancer, no.
The Necromantic.
So that's it.
No, okay. I would suggest that there's a couple scenes in that movie. It's really fun. But so you
Just
said
some crazy scenes.
you said you play the guitar. Have you used any of your music in any of your movies or in anyone
No,
else?
I haven't, because the guitar and music is a recent development of me. But I'm always singing my songs, so I decided to put it in music. When I do a show, everybody asks me to sing. So I sing my Necrophilia song, and then I have a song about this prostitute in the Philippines that has sex with a dog, and I have a song about the guy at the carnival that has sex with a chicken. I like to keep my things on a light, airy scale, sort of like Wagner, I'm just, Roger, I'll call you back. Got a break. My neighbor. So they want me to do an album. I had, for Bloodsucking Fritz 2, I had Ralphus and Sardu digging up dates in a graveyard. The song went like, Necrophilia, from the grave I'll steal ya. Let's dig up a couple of dates tonight. DK makes for a hell of a lay. It hasn't. I got it right up in this Corpse. You ever see Corpse and Girls magazine?
Oh yeah, yep. Corpse is a real nice guy.
Yeah, I've done a lot of videos and stuff with Corpsey from Girls and Corpses magazine.
Yeah. So they really think I'm into necrophilia.
It's just a pastime.
I knew my psychiatrist in the early days had another patient who was an undertaker who was engaged to a girl for 5 years and being forced to marry her, but he's so used to fucking the corpses he couldn't get a hard on with her. I solved that problem, I'm not interested in corpses. But they spend a lot less money than live girls, They don't.
Yeah, that's true.
I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, but they have. You never have an affair with a girl that lives in your same apartment building. That's one of the mistakes. And then they start wanting food and clothes and stuff like that, So it ended up funerary if this girl. Fortunately, she moved out. She lived right opposite me,
Was this one of my issues with the necrophilia is it'd be cold. I don't think that's really doesn't sound very appealing. Yeah.
And
heat it up.
You heard the old joke. You want to hear a high school joke about necrophilia?
Yeah.
I remember it from high school. These guys go to her house. Each guy has $5. One guy only has $3. So the man who said the guy with $3 said, "I haven't. I could get you a Chinese girl upstairs. That's for $3. That's all you're going to get." So he sends her upstairs. And he comes back half an hour later. And he said, yeah, she was really a Chinese girl, I could tell. And he said, "Why?" She said, "I could feel the rice on my dick." He said, and the man said, "That wasn't rice, that was maggots. She did that for 3 days." That was the high school joke.
Got a couple questions here in the chat room, and they want to know, what films inspired you?
I got inspired for the films that I did, starting at a low level, everything that played on 42nd Street in the 60s. Eddie Romero, the Roger Corman pictures, they played a lot of these low-budget pictures you never saw anyplace, So I tended to emulate a cheaper picture. I wasn't inspired by deep, meaningful pictures, Now, I love a lot of the great major pictures, but my own inspiration in the early days came from Cherry Infantore, and I'm trying to think of the guy that did models. Barry Mahon did Cuban Rebel Girls and Models Incorporated, and they were shooting this real schlock. I got involved with Joe Sarno, I had written the script and it cost about $40 million to make today. Somebody gave it to Joe Sarno. He called me up. You're great. You're brilliant. Come over. He said, could you write a movie for me? He said, you never see any of my movies. I said, no. He said, well, you can't have 3 or 4 sets in a couple of locations. Your girl could take her top off twice. The guy has to keep his pants on, keep the dialogue down. Have about 40 minutes of him huffing and puffing away, Because in those days there was soft core, so you would have to have a couple of shots of tits in it. So I wrote Career Bed, which was a lot more than that. That's how I got it. Joe Sarno said, let's make it. And I said, yes. He said, raise the money, which I did, And then when we got to shoot it, he went to Sweden. Barry Mahon, I was talking to him. He says, go see my picture, Models Incorporated, which was playing at the Rialto, the Vigo Brand Theater right on 42nd Street and Broadway. And I went down and said, Models Incorporated. I went in. They had like 3 features there, and they started, but not Models Incorporated. So I went to the manager. I said, what the fuck, you got that outside Models Incorporated? Give me my money back. He said, did you see a couple of tits? I said, yeah. He said, that's all you came in here for. That was the very early days where they would have one of the tit shots in the picture. And I drove in Sweden called Inga and Underage, and I think we shot in Denmark. It was so sexy, and the time it came out, hardcore porn that came out, so our picture was like PG. You watch, it's on television once in a while, and it's completely innocent. You see a nude girl, and the most, a guy pisses on a bike, or a bike was the most outrageous thing. And it's a sex drama, The social worker comes to this small Swedish community and finds this young girl has been fucked by everybody in town, so they arrest them all, and then she gets on the stand. They said, Jeremy, little girl, what's it master food inside with you? And tell them what, and they show a picture of her getting banged in the church. And she said, what's your mayor wants to go to you? And they show her a picture of her getting banged by the mayor. Very soft. She looks
Yeah.
Anybody wanted to see it all works,
But early, when we first started, you talked about, you were kidding around about what your family was worried about you doing these things, and so you started making the movies. But what did your family think when your movies started to come out?
Oh, when my movies came out, they liked them. I mean, my brother was vice president of ABC. The other guy was at Verizon. My mother had passed away. Actually, most of my relatives enjoyed my pictures, They didn't get upset. I come from a family in New York, so I remember them seeing Career Bed and Sex by Advertising. They didn't react spatially to them, In fact, in Career Bed, the first movie, there's a girl at the end that takes her top off. She was chasing after my father. He had a store we were shooting. And he said, when you get this young girl out here, she won't leave me alone. So I went down and got her in the movie, And she wouldn't take her clothes. She said she wasn't taking her clothes off, and we had a scene. I told her she would just take her top off, and then she was in the scene, and then she started to get undressed. And I was going to say, cut. Ron Dorfman put his hand over my face, and the girl, she kept on getting undressed, And after this, we said, cut. Finally, she was standing there nude, and she said, "Oh, I wasn't supposed to get undressed. Why did you do that?" Anyway, I heard she went on to a career. She was on a soap opera for a long time, but I never saw her again after that.
Steve wants to know, you seem really unhappy with Bloodbath. If you got the same kind of money and that level of talent you had in Bloodbath, would you ever work with the limitations of a studio again?
Well, I got Bloodbath. I got a lot more money and it made a very dull picture, I thought they wanted something very staid and they should have done it. It was full union, we had Harv Presnell and Jerry Lacey, Doris Robinson, You know, it was just a boring picture, and I was guided by too many hands on that because I had a much more interesting script. You know, but they called me up and asked me to make a movie. I shouldn't have done that because I had a better movie. You know, are you guys still there?
Yeah, we're here.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, it sounds much better.
Mm-hmm.
I made a lot of mistakes in my life. I could have done a better movie than that. I should have aimed to do an artistic movie. You know, not artistic, but a weird artistic. I had a couple of scripts. Maybe I will be able to claim that. I have a script called Length about a girl that moves next door to a guy, the older guy, and she thinks he's a retired porn film star called Johnny Length, and it's very funny, you know. Mm-hmm. She wants to get him evicted, and she starts a rumor that, you know, but in reverse, everybody likes the idea of the famous porn film guy living in the building, you know, so
yeah,
it's a lot more fun.
Well, why was the movie PG? Is that what they wanted? Or?
Yeah, they wanted a PG picture, and it was stupid. I had a much better picture, you know. Mm-hmm. It came out too tame for the people involved. Wanted a tame picture, and I should have done. I sold one script to Canon for $50,000 called Teen Demon, which would have been much more interesting. Canon took that out about a guy moving into a old house that's haunted by a contemporary teenage girl. You know, she leaves milk all over the kitchen and plays rock and roll records. And I had another one called The Landlord, which was very freaky. This guy has a building in that, and all the tenants are, you know, weird or space creatures. They end up cooking, and then it was great art. Then again, I never reached too far. I mean, life as, you know, I used to live on 49th Street above Louis Gino's restaurant, actually next 48th Street. There's a waterfall there now. And I could go a year without paying the rent, and Louis Gino would feed me, so I never, you know, had that, I knew everybody, but I never had that aggressiveness. I was invited to stay out on the coast several times, and I never did, you know. You may be talking to an old Aaron Spaley. Now, I'm leader of all the freaks in the world. Every 12-year-old kid with blue hair. If AK-47s and take over, you know.
How does it feel to be the corrupter of the youth?
No, I don't know. I don't think I corrupted anybody.
They were already corrupt, I see. That's what drew him to them.
I don't think, I mean, these kids are weird, that's all. They adopted me, you know. I mean, I met this girl down at Vampire Freaks with her uncle, and she was starting high school in the fall. She had half her head shaved, you know, the other half normal. She already had a couple of tats. She had piercings in her face. And she said, I'm starting Putnam High School in the fall. And she said, and I said, are you going like that? She said, yes. I said, what are the other kids going to say? And she said, fuck them. So, I would like, you know, I have a couple of girls I have my eyes on that sort of weird. I keep on seeing this girl around that goes to audition with her mother, but she's sort of strange. Yeah. But right now, I'm happy talking to you guys.
Yeah, I'm having a good time too. I just wondered,
have you been watching Copper on BBC?
I've heard a lot about that. I have not watched it. Have you? I think
that is the most disgusting thing. You think, first of all, they got 10-year-old prostitutes that chasing everybody because the lead girl is a 10-year-old prostitute that they rescue, but she keeps on getting the leading guy because she can't sleep alone, you know? Uh-huh. And she puts makeup on and pumps her ass, and they show all sorts of blowjobs and shit in there, you know, in the upper class manner that takes place in New York, you know? And I think when you have these little hookers in the whorehouse, it's sort of applying to the pedophiles in the audience, you know. And I think they know what they're doing. They don't do that from a historical perspective. So what else?
I was to say, somebody in the chat wants to know, do you consider yourself corrupt?
No, I don't think I can't be corrupt enough. I would like to be more corrupt. I look back at the past and I avoided corruption. You know, I avoided, and then, I've had girls hanging around here that were very young, and I was very moralistic about it, you know? Mm-hmm. I don't think I've done anything terribly corrupt. I went to orgies in the 60s and actually found it very boring, you know? Did you see Eyes Wide Shut?
Yeah, I have.
I thought that was boring, but the ones that I saw in New York were just as boring as that. Nobody... You know, a lot of couples hang here, and Plato's Retreat was a big bore. You know, I observed a lot of things. You know, I went to a lot of brothels, and I went to parties and banged a lot of girls. But should have married some of my old girlfriends. You know, would have been better. Now I'm all alone. You can take your girl that's living here. In fact, I'll ship her down to Cape Cod in a box.
Do you keep her in a cage or anything, or?
No, she keeps me in the cage. The place is...
No.
Oh, okay.
Roles have been reversed.
She gets locked in the bedroom. She has to get her stuff out of here. She's produced a couple of major pictures. I won't go in her name.
Oh, really?
She produced a couple of big pictures, but she has to get out, you know. I don't do things like that. I can't think of anything. I mean, I used to have this girl come over, and she opened her handbag and had whips and handcuffs. And it's a lot of shit to go through just to get laid, you know? And if the place is the atmosphere, I imagine if they had some place where they had a good show and all that, they turn you on, but nobody goes that far. As I said, John Huston, director, supposedly had these superlative orgies in Harlan. I wasn't invited to any, but they were very good. And David Merrick, the producer, was going for the... Probably had these very good S&M orgies, black masses, everybody dressed up in priests and cardinals, and they had a virgin on the altar and all that. I wasn't invited to any, but I heard about them, you know? So, and I didn't go to panels. They invited me. That's down around 9th and 10th Street. I could go down there at only members night, but I'm sure I would be bored. But at Cape Cod, that's where all the action is.
Oh, yeah, it's a happening place here down in the Cape. Actually, I think...
See, that's what it is. You haven't hung out with Neil enough.
That's right.
And the lobster people, you know,
If you go to, like, Neil's lobster orgy, then you'll have a good time.
The grilled lobster orgy.
That's it.
It's, I actually think there is some crazy stuff down in Provincetown. Down
oh, yeah,
on
there
the
you go.
Cape.
We got John Waters here. There's got to be some crazy stuff.
No, John, I lectured with him. He's a very nice guy. He asked me, do people send me shit in the mail? I said, no. He said, you're lucky. And Pete Flamingo's people, he get his fans send shit when they see Divine eat the shit, you know. They go to the post office and mail him shit, you know.
That's crazy.
I haven't had that happen, you know.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Keep it that way, I think.
I had, when I had a fight with Bill Landis. You know who Bill Landis is anyway?
Bill Landis.
He had this Sleazoid Express, and I threw him out of here one day. And for 25 years he had this, fight, what do you call it? I don't know. It destroyed me for 25 years. He wrote about me on the web, and he actually got a bag of shit and paid a guy to throw it on. The guy.
No.
Yes.
Wow.
But the guy, because somebody told me about it, and I had a copier, and the guy confessed, you know? Mm-hmm. And that's because I locked him out of the apartment. But that was the only really person that...
It's a man that holds a grudge.
He died a few years ago. For years and years and years, he was calling me. And when he was hanging around here, he was making these crank calls. And I said, who are you calling? He said, that's my mother. I hate her. So I'm calling his mother, so, you know.
Wolf here in the chat room, he's saying Adam West is known to be a big orgy goer. Did you ever see Adam West at an orgy?
Adam West?
Yeah, the guy who played Batman on the TV show.
I didn't know that he had an orgy, but when I was casting G.I. Executioner, he's one of the actors that came up. He was looking for work.
Mm-hmm.
And the one was the guy from Rifleman.
Oh, no way. Chuck Connors?
No, the young guy.
Oh, the young kid. Oh.
The young kid, because years before, I was sitting, and he actually walked with this beautiful blonde girl, and he was physically pulling her away from the table, like, forget about she's going with me, and he had the shiny teeth. His name will come to me. There's the other kid on the Rifleman.
Oh, okay.
10 years later, he hasn't worked in 7 years.
Hockey mask guy Jim, he said that Lloyd Kaufman says Bloodsucking Freaks is so disturbing that he wouldn't buy it today.
He wouldn't buy it today. He paid a lot of money on it, and he didn't really buy it from me, so we may have some litigation. He also said he edited it, but he never edited it.
Who would you say has been the most difficult person you've ever worked with?
Hart Fresnel was difficult on my movie because he drank,
Mm-hmm.
And we had a lot of trouble trying to keep him sober. Probably our fault. Somebody gave him a beer, That was his downfall in Hollywood. A lot of major movies, Unsinkable Molly Brown and a lot of movies, and I guess he drank his career away. And then he went on to do Fargo and was nominated for, I think, Academy Award. He was a nice guy, but get drunk and fight, Remember the lines, and you had to hold him up and stuff like that. And, he was difficult to work with. Most people were okay to work with, I never had any trouble. I had the girl in Bloodsucking Freaks with crawling away with her legs cut off. She kept on coming, and she said, "Help me with your directions." And she said, "The character doesn't even have a name. Give me a name. Who am I? I'm just going to crawl away with." I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, you got to tell me what bugging the shit out of me." I don't know.
She just threw a name out there.
Yeah, Gladys.
I thought it was a rifle, but it's not in there. And it wasn't often. And, I heard, I don't know. I grew up with, now what's his name? Who was married to Shirley Jones, the agent now. He was the fencer in Dickens. He lived across the street from me. Whatever his name was, I ran into him in California. He said, "I'm going to take you home, and I've been talking about you, the first guy in the neighborhood to go into show business." So I said, "What are you doing now?" And that was the end of it, because he was starring in a television show at the time. And I made a letter for a boss, but I think most people are hardworking. I don't think actors should do, most actors, are known. My friends who were in Sherman did a lot of pictures, dead for years. Said all he cared about an actor that he learned his lines, didn't drink, and didn't trip up cables. And didn't ask him for direction.
Yeah.
So.
Earlier you talked about Eli Roth used to come and see you, and he's like a huge fan. Does he still keep in contact with you, or did he change once he started making films?
Of course he did. He used to email me all the time. He said he wanted to fly me out there. He wanted to do his script, and he started becoming famous. And I never heard from him again. And finally, somebody grabbed him in L.A. and said, "Joel Reed thinks you're a piece of shit," or something like that. And he sent me an email, "Oh, Joel," something like that. And then he changed his email address.
That's terrible.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Have you had similar experiences?
I was stoned, but I had to follow up, contact him. He was very friendly. He was here all the time,
Mm-hmm.
So, I knew
Did you
I gave, no, I can't even remember anything. What's the girl that was in my movie that's, I'm getting senile. The girl that was, Carrie. And then in Stripes.
PJ Souls?
No, what's her name? She insists she never been in one of my.
Yeah, was that her, PJ Souls?
PJ Souls, yes.
Yeah.
Not that she was in one of them. They asked her to do the DVD on Bloodsucking. And I was never in that movie, and I never read through it. If somebody confronted her again, you know. I think I met her in the laundromat on 49th Street. You know, so. I met her. You know, I just keep on running into Sylvia Miles. Remember her? She lives down the street.
Mm-hmm.
From Midnight Cowboy.
Oh, okay.
Like 120 years old.
Do you ever go to horror conventions or anything like that?
Yeah, when I get invited, I go and I sign autographs. I make money at those things.
Yeah.
I have a lot of fans. I mean, at the Wasteland, I made $1,500 a night. You know, people look it up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I was with Jamie Gillis, and he gets a lot of more gay. He sells pictures of he's dead now, but all these gay guys were buying pictures of his dick and giggling.
I'll put your name out there if you're interested in trying to in getting invited to some
I'm
more.
up to the Cape Cod Film Festival. You know.
Well, we got the Rockin' Chalk next month.
That's right, Rock and Shock here in Massachusetts.
I'm going up to, they invited me up to London, Ontario.
Oh, nice.
Rock and Shock something.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a couple other invitations, you know. They may fly me to Singapore just for this, but their festival, they fly, you know, to make a speech there. That's 21 hours on a plane. I may go.
Oh. That's a long plane ride.
Yeah.
And it's expensive now. I don't think they have to tell anymore, so. But I would come out there, you know. If you have a hot little 18-year-old girl like sturdy old man, you know, I'll go. You know?
I need one of those for me.
Yeah. You know where I went to? There used to be a restaurant with a big iron lobster outside. That's still there.
Oh my God, I remember that
Yeah, we
place.
used to pass
Yeah,
off
that
that.
was. I think that was in Buzzards Bay.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's fine.
Guy from invited me out there for a weekend, you know.
It finally rusted, and I think it's gone. But when I was a kid,
Yeah, it is now. It used to always be there, though. I remember that as a kid.
That's really weird.
Every year it would lose something, like they lost one claw and then another part would fall off, and then they just kind of like forgot about it.
This Greek guy, his family owned that. My friend asked me to go out to some good at collecting money, you know.
Mm-hmm.
My friend was afraid to ask me for money, so I started screaming at him. So he said, "I'm not a four-flusher, you know." And he opened the cash register and paid the money, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got back to New York, he had my friend on the phone. "Please bring the money back. My father will pay." My friend brought it back. I said, "Look, screw him. He owes you money, you know." But, that was a long time ago, you know.
Yeah.
They're both dead now. But I got to eat a lot, 3 or 4 meals in a restaurant. He didn't charge us, so.
Yeah, that's cool.
Go around, you know. Well, I'll be glad to come out there for the Joel M. Reed Festival, you know.
That's right.
We'll have to set this up. And if I ever make it big, Joel, I'll still hang out with you. You don't have to worry about that. I'm not going to be changing my email address.
Yeah, and he'll never call you back. Don't believe
Yeah,
it.
you don't have to worry about me making it big either. So.
Yeah, you know, this guy, I can't think of his name, who made a picture called The Lodge, which is a zombie picture. He asked me to come out to a party he was having in Egg Harbor, New Jersey. I didn't know him at all, you know. So I said, "You have to PayPal me." He's going to give me $500. I mean, I'm asking. So I said, "You have to give me $250 by PayPal. I'm not going to get out there, you know." And I wanted a PJ, you know, when I arrived. So I arrived out there. He gave me the other $250, and the girl pulled me into the men's room. So he kept his word, except I was drinks free. Quite shocking. Times since then, you know. But I'm always available, or when you're down in the city, come visit me, you know.
All right, we'll take you up on that. Well, I think we're going to let you go, Joel. It's been a lot of fun talking to you.
I have to go. 2 hours.